Welcome back to Celtic Fans TV. Happy New Year to you all. That is the first thing. This is the first video of 2019. New year, new content, new studio space as well. So we're over the moon with that. We finally get to talk about the transfer window. It's been the elephant in the room ever since the summer. So this is the first Transfer Weekly episode. We're going to talk over what Celtic need this month, all the targets that we've been linked with so far, the deals we've done, deals that look like they're going to get done, and we've got some new features that you'll see throughout the video as well. So we'll start with just a brief discussion about how important this transfer window is, as if we need one. We've been having this discussion for months.
Absolutely monumental. I think just the previous two, if even you look back at this time last year, wasn't, in retrospect now looking back, it wasn't a great window. We didn't do any great business. We knew that probably we needed a centre half or maybe two back then, and then to think that we went through the summer transfer window and did absolutely nothing that would bolster and strengthen where we were at. So this is without question probably one of the most important transfer windows in recent Celtic history.
Absolutely, you see, even if we go back to last January, on the face of it, in terms of just a box ticking exercise, we got what we needed. We signed two centre halves. We signed two centre halves and a highly regarded attacking midfielder winger on an 18-month loan deal with Charlie Musonda, Comper and Hendry being the two centre halves, and it's remarkable to think that not one of them has made an impact. Not only has not one of them made an impact, Comper and Musonda are probably two of the most baffling outcomes Celtic have ever had for a transfer. I mean, Musonda just fell off the face of the earth and nobody's ever seen Marvin Comper.
Does he exist? Is he a man?
I don't know. It's extraordinary, really. So it's massive. Obviously we know all about the summer. We knew at the time that it was really desperate, but I think this month is where it's a crossroads for Brendan Rodgers' time at Celtic. It's a crossroads for his relationship with the board, and we've got to get deals that we want done as quickly as possible. So targets. You can see on the screen now, we've put together a wee January checklist. These are probably in order of priority, I would say. So it's two strikers. We
100%.
Obviously we finished the first half of the season there with no fit strikers. With Griffiths out for a period and Edward nursing that injury. And then right back, massive, absolutely massive. We've been for 2 years. We've been crying out for a new right back for 2 years.
And it's taken us 2 years to obviously get to the stage where you hope that that's exactly what the board's thinking. Let's get a right back in. You just sitting at this point, Lustig has been a weak link and becoming weaker over the last 18 months or so. And when you look at, or you listen to some of the pundits and some of the previous players when they're asked playing against Celtic, one of the kind of famous things is that they're asking them, what are you looking at in Celtic's weak link because of the strength that we've had in the last couple of seasons, and you often hear them saying Lustig down the left hand side for them, but kind of right back position for us. So that's massive. We need to replace Lustig. I'm not saying that Lustig has to go because he'd be good backup for anyone. He can do a job there, but he certainly can't be first choice right back at Celtic anymore.
He's obviously massively experienced and he's served the club really well.
Exceptionally well.
It's not a personal thing. It's been for so long now. He's been the weak link. I mean, we've seen it in Athens. We've seen it a few times this year. He was horrendous at Ibrox as well. It's the weak link and we need to fix it. A centre half as well.
Yes.
I think that's something that will be a much bigger priority in the summer because Benkovic is going to go back to Leicester. We're going to lose Boyata. It might be this month. If it's not this month, it will be the summer. So that's the centre half pairing there gone. Leaves us with Aya, Hendry, who looks like he's going to go out on loan. And Simunovic, effectively. So I'd like to see one in there this month.
Aye, it would be nice to see one go in there this month, and then it to be a true focus come summertime, to get somebody really strong in there, somebody that can come in. And we spoke about it before. Kind of Boyat did come on to a game after the World Cup, and we were very impressed with him. It was all at sea against Rangers, and really didn't show up. And it was really kind of looking back to how he played last season. It wasn't great, but you need somebody who, one, has experience in there, one who's a presence in there, and somebody who can lead that centre pairing at the back. So I would like to think that if we're bringing one in the January transfer window, you're probably not going to get the best player for the best money in January. It's always one of the ones where you're fishing in what is a very difficult market. So it'd be nice to bring in one, but then to really focus on it in summer and secure a proper centre half pairing, because Benkovic is gone, Boyat will be gone. We're back to almost where we didn't want to be.
And finally, a winger, which we've secured yesterday. We think that's all we would do in that area of the park. Oliver Burke has joined us on a 6-month loan for West Brom. What do we think of that one?
The obligatory YouTube video search and having a wee look at some of his stuff. The boy's got potential. You rightly said yesterday, I think he's racked up £28 million in transfer fees in the last few years. He went over to Leipzig, didn't work out from there. He's come back across to England, and it's not really worked out. It's not started kicking off from there either. So it's probably a good move for both him and ourselves. He's a player with potential. He's somebody who your thoughts were, I think, that he would kind of step in for where Sinclair has been almost lacking for the past season and a half. So I think he's probably a good signing for us. It is very short term. You'd like to think that we're looking at something a bit longer term in terms of kind of strengthening the team, but it's what we need right now. So
I think obviously he's naturally, Oliver Burke, known as a right winger.
Yeah.
But I just think in the context of what we need, it's not so much. We've not signed him for backup to James Forrest. I mean, I don't think that's the case. He's not looking for game time and came to Celtic because Brendan Rodgers has told him, "Oh, we need some backup for James Forrest." He's going to get game time, you would expect. We hope that damn sight more game time than Masonda got last year. But I think we'll see him on the left hand side as well. I don't think it's a million miles away to play as an inverted winger on the opposite side from the side that you naturally play. I think that's where we'll see him. I think that's where we need him, because obviously we've touched on Sinclair there. We know all about his dips in form. Mikey Johnson is there. I know a couple of people on Twitter had said, well, I'd rather just see Mikey Johnson. Yes, Mikey Johnson is developing and he's looked good, but I just think it gives us another option there. We do have a lot of wingers, but guys like Morgan, whatever, look like they need some loan spells away to go and learn and develop. Oliver Burke's at a different level because he's played over in Germany. He's commanded high transfer fees. He's big and he's powerful, not like Johnson, Morgan. I mean, he's a big boy, and he offers something different. So I think it's a good sign. It's a good start. It's
an impact sign.
It's like these loan deals as well, as you touched on there. They are short term, but it lets us secure. Like, we couldn't go and buy him. West Brom spent 13 million on him. Leipzig spent 15 million on him, and that's what we're seeing with these loan deals like Benkovic. We couldn't go and pay 13, 15 million when the guys are like Benkovic has got an English Premier League team to go back to. But it lets us get them in. It is short term, but it's probably a little bit higher quality than we could reasonably go and buy and compete with these teams in the Premier League. So as you can see on the screen now, we've even got a wee transfer ticker coming up with all the rumours so far. Who needs Sky Sports News? You don't even need to put up a gym right on here.
Aye, who even wants it?
What more can you ask for? Right. Timothy Weir, one loan deal to another.
Aye.
He's expected to complete it in the next 48 hours. He's going to Dubai, we think, with the team.
Yep.
We Instagram post waving bye-bye to his PSG locker yesterday.
Aye.
And it's no secret, all the Instagram stuff, it looks like that's a done deal as well.
Aye, I think it's a done deal. All these Twitter things going about now, different players being followed by Timothy Weir, and that means they're coming to Celtic. I think, again, it's somebody that we wouldn't go out and sign. Timothy Weir is probably one of the players that has shown exceptional promise. He's played a couple of times this season already for PSG in the first team. Scored as well. So he's a player of promise. He's somebody that we couldn't bring in otherwise. And even just having him for the rest of the season will bring goals to the team. It'll give us a bit of security in the knowledge that there's someone else to fall back on if Edouard doesn't fit or if Griffiths isn't back in the team. So it is an answer, and it's one that I think we've been crying out for.
He's a lot in the Edouard mould, from PSG as well.
Yep.
Young, I think he's direct, he's pacey. I think he can, as well as being a striker, I think he can play sort of anywhere across the front, really. He's still young enough and he's developing. Obviously got a lot of quality, and again, it's just one of these ones where we couldn't go and buy him. Celtic Park's becoming the place to develop if you're young and based in the French game, so hopefully he can make an impact and really help us up front, because that's obviously where we need it, as we've touched on already. On to another striker target, if I couldn't, Yusuf Bayo. It seems Instagram's the place to go for these these transfer news these days, because he's another one that followed the Celtic Instagram account yesterday. So we had a £1.75 million bid rejected. I think we've gone back with 2 million, and it's kind of looking like that might go over the line as well now. I don't know how much you look into the Instagram stuff, but there must be something in it.
There's got to be, right? If these players are following Celtic, there's a reason, there's a link, there's a tie. I think he's young. He's somebody who's shown potential. He's scored 20 odd goals this season. We need goals. There's no two ways about it. Sometimes you just feel that we're lacking that killer instinct in the final third of the park. There's been a few games this season that we've scored a few goals leading up to kind of half time, 3-4-0. At one point we joked that we were emptying stadiums before half time. It would be nice to see someone coming in who can add to that, who has that killer instinct, the ability to put the ball away in the back of the net, and scoring 20 odd goals in any league at this stage of the season isn't to be sniffed at, and surely he can come in and do a job for us. Again, obligatory YouTube search to have a wee look at some of his stuff. Everything can look good in a YouTube video. It'd be nice to see him come in here and hit the ground running and do some damage in the Scottish Premiership.
As you say, I think fits the profile. I think when Brendan Rodgers came in, I thought we were going to sign players of the calibre of Scott Sinclair's, maybe guys who have played at a really high level. It's maybe not working out for them now. Brendan Rodgers had worked with them before. I thought that was the kind of player that we were going to be recruiting and attracting. But that's not the case, and obviously the recruitment so far under Brendan Rodgers has disappointed. When you think about what we've been able to achieve with the squad he inherited and the couple of signings that have been successful, you just think, what if he'd really had the backing and been able to bring in the right players in the transfer window, where we could be just now. But we know that he hasn't. I just think that's the profile that we're going for. Young, lots of potential, we want to develop them, and obviously there's always the sell them on for a profit strategy. That's just
kind of who we are, isn't it?
That's who we are, and it's probably who we need to be, because we can't, nobody with massive ambitions in their career wants to spend their whole career in Scotland. We just not deal with that. And I think if you can say anything about Brendan Rodgers so far, he's only really signed 2 strikers permanently, Moussa Dembele and Odsonne Edouard. So that's probably, that area of the park is probably where he's signed the best players in.
Aye.
It's disappointing when you think about the players he's signed across the rest of the park who've just made no impact. It's almost like they've been signed as squad players. I feel like Brendan Rodgers has signed so many players that you think, but he didn't sign him to be first choice. And then we've had 3, 4, 5 transfer windows, and you think, how many players has he signed to be absolute first team starters? A handful. And Cham, Sinclair, Dembele, even when Edouard came in, he wasn't to be a first team starter. We've seen Benkovic obviously be a first team player since he came in, only in loan though.
Yeah.
There's been far too many failures in terms of signings.
Yep.
Guys who haven't made an impact, guys who have just dwindled away, they're squad players, they're maybe not good enough. So hopefully Bayu is not that, and he's exactly what we need. And Bolster's up front as well. The other one that we've got there, obviously, I think, as I touched on earlier, this is the massive priority after the strikers is the right back.
Yeah.
Timothy Castagna, as you can see below, was the one that we've been talking about for Atalanta. £6 million. It's gone a bit quiet though, because the word is that Atalanta are looking for more, like 10 million. So that's probably dead in the water if that's the case.
You would think so, and like, if as a club we're anything, we're frugal. We don't go out there and throw money about, and the whole debacle in the summertime, which ended up over a couple of $100,000 to get John McGinn. When these teams are looking to negotiate, I think Mr. Lawl's quite shrewd when it comes to negotiations, and he won't be pushed above what he's comfortable paying for anyone. So we're not about to jump from 6 million to 10 million for any player. And I think if that's the case, then it's absolutely dead in the water. But then who's plan B? There's got to be plan Bs. There's got to be someone else in the horizon, someone else that they are knocking on the door of, and starting to have serious conversations with, because January's already started. We're approaching the 7th tomorrow, and it's really time to start kicking on with negotiations for anyone. It's a short window, it's a difficult window, so the business has to be done sharp, quick, and if they want to continue the way they have, shrewdly, but get players in.
You see it again with even if I couldn't, Yusuf Bayo.
Yep.
We went in with the 1.75 first. It looks like we might get him now for 2 million.
Yep.
I think that just highlights that we always want to get as much value for money as possible.
Yep.
And that's fair enough, but we've seen that bite us again and again, like the summer, and like we touched on with John McGinn. I keep going back. I go back to clubs like Ajax, who I look at and think they are of a similar stature to Celtic.
Yeah.
The Dutch league isn't.
Is that wonderful?
It's not on the level anywhere near the top 5 leagues in Europe. They don't have huge TV revenues. Ajax turnover is, say, 105 million. Ours was maybe 104 thereabouts.
Yeah.
Like, very similar. Ajax gone out in the summer and they've signed guys like Dusan Tadic, 10 million.
Yeah.
I think last January they signed Tagliafico, who's Argentina left back, 4 million. They've recruited well. Obviously they've got some great young players coming through now who are getting linked with the big clubs in Europe, and they've contributed as well, but they're in the last 16 of the Champions League now. And I just want Celtic to have that approach. I want whoever's responsible for recruitment, although I think Brendan Rodgers should be 80% responsible for it. I know he's got a head of recruitment there, and it's a whole team that makes a decision, but I want Celtic to identify the players with the right qualities that they want, and just go and pay the money. How much is he? Pay the money.
Aye.
Like, if you've found somebody in the right profile who's the right price, like, I don't mean go and pay the money if somebody's wanting 20 million, you just throw it at
No.
But if you've identified he's going to be worth that, we need him, he's the ideal, the number one target, just pay the money and get him.
Yep.
That's what I think we need to do if we really want to get the most out of having Brendan Rodgers, because I feel like we're selling ourselves short, selling him short.
Yep.
And I'm not absolving him responsibility for the players that we have brought in so far, But
we've touched on it. We brought in a rake of players, and there's a lot of them who haven't even hit the scratch. Yeah.
But I just think to maximise having Brendan Rodgers here, we have to get the right players and don't scrimp and scrape, because we'll end up regretting it, because we won't maximise having him here, because we've seen his coaching ability and we've seen what he can do.
Aye, with the players that we had here, when almost 85% of the team that we run with on a week-to-week basis was here when Dyla was here. And that tells you one thing, that Rodgers can work with players and bring out the best in them. So bring them a better player, you get a better football team. You touched on Ajax there, right? So we're looking at the Dutch league. Then you look at Salzburg, the Austrian league. It's not a great league either. They've not spent ridiculous sums of money on players. They're not going out there and spending 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 million pound on players, and they've got some phenomenal players. Is our scouting system broken? Is there something that we're doing wrong out there? Are the boys out there doing a good enough job to identify the talent? Why are we fishing in a pool, like you've said before, like buying players for Dundee and Aberdeen? And does that mean nobody's out there identifying better players? So that's something that I think that we should go out there and buy the right player. It's probably another discussion for another Transfer Weekly, but scouting has to be better as well.
Absolutely, I think that's why there's a few people who are like, oh, who is Vakunis Bio? Like,
that's what I said to you.
But I've looked at that as in, that is casting the net wider. That's going and find somebody who's excelling in a smaller league. There's teams like Galatasaray and whatever looking at him as well. So he's obviously made an impact and he's attracting interest. They're the kind of markets where Celtic can go and get players, and we've seen in the past with Wanyamas and those sorts of players who, in fact, Wanyama came from Belgium and we sold him on for a huge profit. Fantastic player. Nobody had heard him before he came to Celtic. So more of that, absolutely. And hopefully, we touched on the right back situation there. Hopefully there'll be some movement in that over the next week or so. So when we're back next week, we'll have some news on it.
Actually, there's got to be some movement quick. Brendan said that before he headed out to Dubai that he would like to think that he'd have a couple of players in and heading off with them to work with them over the winter break, because the last thing you want is players coming in right at the tail end of the winter break, no time to, because a lot of it is meeting the players, working with the players, getting to know the players and starting to gel personally and professionally, and how you can work as a team. So he needs the guys out there as soon as possible. If the board have listened to anything that he's said following the debacle last summer, I think that it has to be happening. There has to be something seriously happening behind the doors 24/7 to get these boys in.
Absolutely. I think we can see it's not like, I thought when we sat down to do this, Transfer Weekly, the first week Celtic transfer window, we'll have nothing to talk about, because we notoriously leave it to the last week, the last couple of days, and you're thinking, are we going to get MD? But I think with Oliver Burke coming in, Timothy Weir looking like he's right behind them, Bayou maybe not far behind as well. That's at least an intent that we know that we need to get business done quickly, because we can't have another one like the summer. So that's positive, and hopefully it can
lead on to bigger and better things.
Hopefully it can keep going in that direction. That is all we've got time for this week. Don't forget to like the video, comment on your own thoughts on all the targets below. Let us know what you think. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already, and we'll see you back here next week for another Transfer Weekly. Thank you.